We're going to start this one off by painting the dog gray. You're going to use your big brush. You can use a smaller brush to outline, but the straight edge of the big brush makes a really good lining effect if you use the edge of it. So go ahead and line the bigger areas and then fill in with gray. You're going to do his legs, his face, his tail, and his ears. Next, you're going to grab the big brush that you've cleaned out all of the gray paint, and you're going to paint the hat red. Once again, if you want to line in a smaller brush and fill in with the big brush, that's the best way to go. But the big brush has a straight edge and makes it easy to line with as well. So go ahead and line it a bit and then fill in with the red paint. Okay, you're not done with the red yet. You are going to do his collar. You're going to paint in between the circles. Those end up being bells. I do recommend using a smaller brush. I started with my bigger brush, but obviously I had to move down a brush size because some of those areas are just a little too small. So finish up painting the collar red and we'll be moving on to the next color. The next color is going to be yellow. We definitely want to use a smaller brush for this. This is going to be each of the bells on the collar. Now we are going to take white paint and we are going to do the white in the brim of his hat and the white at the end of his hat, the little fluff ball on the end of his hat. Now, the brim of his hat, you can use the big brush, and we want to do just pure white. Now, and you want to let the other colors dry in between. So give it a little time after the gray, give it a little time after the reds. But it's especially important to give it time to dry after the red before the white, because if the white picks up any of those colors, it's going to smear it. So make sure things are dry. And you're going to do the brim of the hat white and the little fluff ball on the end. So I decided to do his eyes and his nose in black next. Now, if you want to keep a nice clean workspace and not quite get into the black yet, you can wait to do this step at the very end when we're ready to outline. You don't have to do it right now. So now we're going to start on the background, and the first thing we do is get white on our brush and then a very, very small amount of blue. You're going to start to paint in the same direction as the line, and you just want to use a tiny bit of blue and let your white paint blend in with it. and you're going to keep going up a little bit. Now you're going to pick up more white paint and keep blending out that blue, and you're going to work your way up the painting with more white paint. We don't ever want to put more blue on our brush. We have the tiniest dot of blue, and that's all we're going to need for this whole painting. So from here on out, you're going to want to keep adding white. Now, I did just clean out my brush because I had too much blue in it. At this point, you don't want any blue in your brush, and you just want to start blending out the existing blue and white paint. So fresh white paint, fill in the background, and use the tiniest bit of blue when you start this step. So now you're going to paint underneath the background where you started before with the blue. You're going to paint all of that underneath straight white. So from the blue, the shaded blue down is going to be straight white. Unfortunately, I cut myself off. I apologize. But all of that below that line is going to be white. We're going to start working on the outline now. You're going to take a medium brush and black paint, and you're going to dip off into the paint and loosely outline everything. You're going to outline the outside of the dog's body, the outside of the hat. You're going to outline the separation between the brim of the hat and the red of the hat. You're going to separate each of the bells from the collar. You're going to separate the collar from the dog. You're going to separate the hat from the background. You're going to put a black line around pretty much everything. The next step is the bell detail. You're going to put 4 dots on each bell, and then you're going to connect them with a line that crosses. So 4 dots, 3, 4, and then a very thin line to connect those 4 dots. You're going to crisscross those lines. So 4 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4. Get a little more paint and connect those dots. Now the collar has bells on it. All right, now we're going to do a white highlight, and this is just a very thin white line, occasionally sporadic around the dog. So a little bit on his tail, a little bit on his legs, a couple lines on his face, some in the whites of his eyes, the top of the hat. I would definitely put some white where I've put white, and if you want to put white in a couple more areas, just remember less is more. So don't do too much, otherwise it won't look like a dog anymore. The last step is to take the brown color you have, add some antlers, and you are all done.